Welcome to Idiots Talk Sports, our show unofficially sponsored by 5 Hour Energy. Eric, what flavor are you on today, buddy?
Had to go with the grape yet again.
Classic grape. I'm on Boring Berry. Bought a 10-pack. Going to be using those for quite a while. Where today we are discussing the state of the Los Angeles Kings, breaking down their season stats, their prospect pools, free agents, and where we think the team will be next season. Eric, the LA Kings had an overproducing year, good-looking year. Kopitar had 92 points.
Right. No, great year of hockey for the LA Kings. Made it to the playoffs. Unfortunately, lost in the first round of the Vegas Golden Knights. Got swept.
And Kopitar looked good in the series.
Kopitar looked good. Quick looked awesome.
I mean, Jonathan Quick is maybe one of my favorite goalies. I think he's the best goalie to not win a Vezina. I don't think he's won a Vezina. And it really, they couldn't score.
Right.
So this offseason, they signed a 35-year-old Ilya Kovalchuk because they think he's going to fix it. Do you think he's going to fix it?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, bouncing back into what Kopitar did real quick this past year, 92 points, 82 games played. Played the full season, had 92 points, 35 of which were goals.
Shooting percentage?
57 assists, had a 17.5 shooting percentage, where he normally shoots a 12.6.
But that's high.
He won the Selke Award. He was a finalist for the Hart. He did it all this season. Age 30, had a career season,
year
rather.
At 30.
The Kings themselves had 98 points, 45 wins, 29 losses, 8 overtime losses.
Usually Kings have 92 points and they eat into that 8th spot.
It was a good year for the Kings. But with that being said, a lot of their core guys did seem to overachieve in one way or another. All had really good years, some career years. But yeah, I mean, Jonathan Quick looked so good all year. Going back to Quick for a minute here.
No.
Second best save percentage of his career at .921.
We can talk the whole show about Jonathan Quick.
Yeah.
He
was that bright spot in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Vegas
100%.
Looked really quick, really good. But Jonathan Quick was shutting down a lot of opportunities.
If they didn't have Quick, it's a totally different series.
Yeah.
I mean, Vegas has, they're not 1-1 games, 2-0 games, 3-1 games. And so Quick is, and I think Quick is still young enough to do it again. He's
32.
The problem is he's had injuries, and that's kind of been his thing. If he can stay healthy, he's looking this good again next year.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
And the way this team is structured, signing a 35-year-old Kovalchuk, they want to win now.
Right.
And they have a couple of guys on entry levels who can help them do it, and that's really what you need in the salary cap area. You need your stars. And then you need you guys making $900,000 to really to make an impact. Kempe.
Right, yeah.
So
he's only
fast.
21. He looked real good. He's such a good skater. Yeah,
Great
great.
skater.
So good. Great with the puck.
Yes.
Makes things happen out there. He's crafty. He's a little guy, I believe, but he's not too small, but he's a rather smaller guy. He played 81 games, had 16 goals, 21 assists. Good for 37 points. Really his first year. I mean, I think he played a half a season last year.
Which is interesting to see because, a guy looking like that out there, you think he's a 50, 60 point guy. I mean, he looks that good now.
He just came into the league. I mean, he's
and so I think Kings fans should be excited about that.
Well, and Toffoli's young. He's 25. He played 82 games, 24 goals, 23 assists, 47 points.
Jeff Carter is a ton of fun to watch, but he's getting old now.
Well, he was injured for 4 months last year.
What were you telling me his points totals were?
He had that ankle injury. His point totals, upon coming back, I believe he had played like 19 or 20 games.
Yeah.
He played like 7-8 games to start the season, got hurt, came back, played 19 or so. And in that time, I think he had like 12 goals.
Unreal. I remember he came back on fire.
13 goals, something like that in that time.
I remember he came back on fire.
But he was shooting a 15.3 was his shooting percentage, whereas his career is only 11.6.
Well, if you watch his goals, they were very confident goal scorer goals.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys.
He's a veteran. He's 33.
He's one of those guys that he's like a Jamie Benn. He can stare the goalie down and he just beats you. Yeah. So
big skilled guy.
Yeah, and maybe doesn't get a ton of chances, but when he does, he buries them.
Well, and that's something. I mean, his age, he's 33 years old, which, again, in hockey age, it's getting up there.
Yeah.
And that's
which is
the thing.
So strange to say nowadays.
When you look up and down at the Los Angeles Kings and their core group of guys, kind of their core talent, they're all on the better side of 25, most of them. They're all a little bit older, It looks like an older team to me. I think they're only like 1 year above the NHL average.
Yeah.
But on paper, they look older than that to me.
Well, their best guys are old.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the problem. I shouldn't say their best guys. their highest point producers
Right.
are all in their 30s. And, they just signed Drew Doughty, 8 years, $11 million.
So that's the highest paid defenseman in the league
Highest
right
paid
now.
defender in the league. And I don't think he makes that money until next year, but they've inked it up. They've locked it in. So maybe Erik Karlsson waits all offseason. Then they see what the cap goes up to next year. And the cap goes up to $85 million. And Karlsson inks a $14 million deal. That's the difference that waiting a year can do.
Right.
So, that looks like a lot of money now, but it's if the league keeps growing the way it has been, if we get 3, 4, 5, 6% a year, people are going to be making $20 million 1 year. And I think people get so upset when they see big contracts, but that is a good thing for a hockey fan to see guys get paid, because that means that it's going to attract more high-level athletes.
And that means the sport is doing better.
Precisely, exactly. So $88 million for I think the second best right shot D. I'm a little partial
Between
to
him and Erik Karlsson, I mean, they're both
1 and 2.
They're so neck and neck. They both play so good. Doughty's so resilient.
Yeah.
He plays, full seasons a lot and always big minutes.
And
as does Erik Karlsson.
He's a very smart guy, and he plays smart. He doesn't. I don't think he gets injured too
He's not
often.
flashy
Not
out
very
there.
flashy.
He just
makes the right play, plays huge minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And he just plays responsibly. That's why he gets all those minutes. I think back to the hit avoid thing that he did on Matt Tkachuk when Matt Tkachuk tried to level him at ice, and he just laid down. It was a play everybody called him out for, but that's a smart play.
Right.
Matt Tkachuk coming into you full speed. No, don't take the hit. He
yeah,
might mess you up.
High hockey IQ.
He played that one smart, and here's the problem with the LA Kings, I think, though, is that they are built to win and win now and not worry about the consequences. So
it's hard to see them having enough firepower to win now. Because we talked about Winnipeg the other day, and you look at who they got, and they're a Stanley Cup contender, I'm sure, for next year.
Their third line guys are LA's second line guys.
Yeah,
and that's the depth of the Winnipeg Jets, but you never know. I mean, that's the beautiful part about this sport, man. It's random. I mean, the Kings could have a 50-win year.
And if the Kings get hot, if they do make it to the playoffs and they get hot through that stretch, they could make. I mean, anything's possible.
If Kovalchuk scores 3 goals for them, if we were to redo this year and they just had Kovalchuk in the Vegas series, if he scores 3 goals and they're at timely times, it's a different series.
Well, let's talk about Ilya Kovalchuk.
Yeah, he's played his last 4 or 5 years in the KHL. He's scoring goals over there. But, when you look at the KHL, it's a little weird. I think the number 1 scorer is Sergei Moziakin, who's 41, and he had 70 goals last year or something crazy. So there's something going on there. And I think it's, we talked about this a little bit, the KHL's salary cap and how, some teams are just allowed to kind of bring in whoever, and then other teams maybe can't afford a good goalie. And then you've got...
It's not as regulated.
Yeah, yes, and I think the NHL goalies are better than the KHL goalies. I'm not saying the best goalie in the KHL isn't as good as an NHL goalie. I just think, on average, he's going to have a tougher time scoring.
Well, and the biggest question is, can he adjust to the speed of the NHL?
You brought up... give me that Jason Spezza stat again.
Well, looking at Kovalchuk's, his last full season when he was in the NHL, he was 28 years old. It was the 2011 and 12 season. Now, mind you, he did play a little bit of the 12-13 season before going to the KHL, but I'm talking about his last full season in the NHL was 11-12, which he played 77 games. He had 37 goals, 46 assists, good for 83 points, and I believe he was 4th or 5th in points that year. And he was 28 at the time. And then Jason Spezza was right beneath him with, I think, 78, 79 points.
Yeah.
So, and Jason Spezza is still in the
Same
league.
age.
I think he's maybe a 40, maybe 50-point guy.
Yeah.
Spezza is probably in the 40s.
And what is everybody's knock on Spezza's speed?
Speed.
He's still a super talented guy, makes the pretty play sometimes, puts it in between a guy's legs, and a nice...
Great hands.
Great
hands are crazy.
And I'm sure Kovalchuk's hands are the same. I love the comparison.
And his shot.
Yes.
Kovalchuk's shot. So I mean...
The comparison is warranted, to say the least. What did we talk about before the show? 25. If he had 25 goals and
25 assists.
If he had 50 points, You know,
That's a good year.
He's an expensive $6 million guy, that's for sure. But maybe that's what the Kings needed.
Yeah.
Is those extra couple of goals. And it's not like they need regular season help. They're going to be fine. It's in the playoffs.
And I think that's about the best you can expect out of Kovalchuk is 25 goals and maybe 25, 30 assists.
Watch him just have 50 goals.
He might. He might. But I think if we're being realistic,
Yeah,
at least from what we're seeing right now,
it's not
I think that 25 and 25 would be a good year for Kovalchuk. I think that's what the Kings could realistically possibly expect on the high end of the spectrum.
I hope Kings fans aren't expecting 35 or 40 goals.
That's the thing.
Well,
and a cool stat about Kovalchuk, when he played in the NHL, he played 816 games, and he was an exact point-per-game player at 816 points.
Holy smokes.
And a third of his goals came on the power play. So he can score on the power play.
Well, that's really where he's supposed to help them. You know, that's what they're expecting. And I don't remember seeing a ton of power play opportunities they had in the Vegas series, but Vegas was taking penalties this last offseason.
Well, and I would like to look more into this, but do special teams matter even more in the NHL since it's a smaller ice surface? Over there in the KHL, it being a bigger ice surface, I mean, I don't know if that plays a factor in, say, a power play or a penalty kill.
Well, I'm sure it does. Yeah, maybe the box you can create around the net is the same size,
right.
or so. But it's mostly the neutral zone play that's a little different in the KHL.
Okay.
You know, they kind of carry it in instead of dump and chase. You know.
Okay.
But here's an interesting thing about the LA Kings. They have $3 million of cap space, $3.1 million to be precise.
Tight.
And they have 4 unrestricted free agents.
That's tight.
Toby Reeder, Torrey Mitchell, Kevin Gravel, who is an important part of their defense, and Christian Folin. 26 and 27, those last 2 UFAs on defense. Do you sign one of them? You know what I mean? Can you afford to keep 2? If not, I mean, their D lines up as Drew Doughty, Dion Phaneuf, Alec Martinez, Jake Muzzin, Derek Forbort, and Daniel Brickley, who I don't even know if he's had a lot of time in the NHL yet. But and you know, there are questions. Depth defense is going to be an issue with $3 million in cap. I mean,
right.
You can only pay like one of those guys. Super tight, and it really comes down to Kovalchuk this year. I mean, they really have to have some sort of a notable year with him.
Well, and how can Jonathan Quick continue to play the way he's been playing for next season and the season after, and even up till he's 35, 36? He's 32 now.
If he stays relatively injury-free, you know, he's got a bunch more years in that contract. He's 5 more years.
Well, the Kings are such a defensive team.
Yeah.
Their forwards are so defensive-minded. Well, they were the best penalty kill in the league. So that tells you how good of a defense they are. They were 85% on the kill.
Here's the big question. Paul Ledoux is a restricted free agent with arbitration rights, and he looks to be a 30-point defender right now. He's the only defenseman they can keep. They've got to give him $2.5 million.
What's his age? How old is he?
Paul Ledoux is 25, and he's looked really good for them down the stretch. Looks like he's 18, but that's actually surprising, 25. But with arbitration rights, so. They've been in negotiations with them. They did not qualify Toby Reeder, which is not a surprise with $3 million left. And, I mean, this is literally how their final lineup is going to look. Kopitar, Kovalchuk, Brown, Carter, Toffoli, Pearson, and then it really drops off. Lewis, Nate Thompson, Kyle Clifford, Sheldon Rempal, Alex Iafallo, and Adrian Kempe, obviously, down there 1 and 2, the big prospects. But their 3rd and 4th lines do not look great.
Well, and their top 2 lines are like I said, they're a little older.
Yeah. So
they still might have a good season or 2 in them.
That's the thing. And Kopitar, if he goes off again.
That's the thing, yeah.
With Kovalchuk.
Granted, he did shoot really high this year. His shooting percentage was 5% higher than normal, which is huge.
The Kopitar-Kovalchuk Express has just been opened.
Well, and Brown had a great year, too. At 33 years old, he had 61 points.
Yeah,
played 81 games. He shot a 12.6 was his shooting percentage.
Yeah.
His career percentage is a 9.5. So, but he had almost 30 goals. He had 28 goals, 33 assists. So, a good year. Good years by their core veteran guys. And let's see if they can do that again next year. That's the big question. What will Kovalchuk do? What will he bring?
I think they can do it again. I don't know that they go deep in the playoffs, though, and that's the problem. It's a very speed game now. You got to play physical and fast. They can play physical really well, but they can't play fast. Hopefully, guys like Kempe Adrian Kempe and I follow address that.
Well, these small, fast teams like Vegas, when they off the rush, they're so deadly against a team like LA because LA just can't keep up. They don't have the speed to play that kind of style. It's hard for them to defend against a speedy rush, and you see it in the Vegas series, in that first round.
It's a lot about adaptation, and obviously they can't do much in free agency. This team is pretty much locked up. We should only be doing teams that can't do anything in free agency because it starts tomorrow. Big day.
So fringe playoff team. Fair to say they might make it, might not. It's so close. I'm going to say they barely miss the playoffs.
Man, tough prediction.
It is a tough one. It could go either way.
And I'm going to say they do it again, 100 points. They get in the playoffs, and they lose in the first round to the San Jose Sharks. Full season prediction, full division realignment there. But
anything could happen with this team.
I don't know that they beat a team like San Jose in the playoffs. I don't know that they beat a team like Edmonton.
If they get hot at the right time, Quick's hot, Kopitar's hot, Doughty's playing great. That's the thing. They do have the tools to win a lot of games and go on a tear. So it really could go either way. It'll be exciting. It'll be an exciting year for the Kings.
All right, LA Kings fans. Thanks for tuning into our show today. We love doing these. We're going to keep doing them. I don't know who's next. Maybe the Rangers. I'd like to talk about the Rangers. They seem like an exciting team, young team, rebuilding, got a lot for their assets last year, especially Rick Nass, who's about to retire.
Yeah, you can say a lot about the Rangers.
I mean, so the Rangers might be next. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. All right, everybody. That does it for today's show. One last thank you to Ben Rosett for letting us use his music for our podcast. The full title for the songs used can be found in the description below. Thanks for tuning in, and you'll be hearing from us soon.